Second, to declare without ambiguity or qualification that human value rests on God's creative love and not on possession or achievement. It is not for believers to join in the search for scapegoats, because there will always be, for the religious self, an awareness of complicity in social evil. Nor is it for believers to make light of the real suffering that goes with economic uncertainty and loss, no less real for the formerly affluent Westerner faced with redundancy than for the powerless farmer or woman worker enduring yet another change for the worse in a battered and injured African or Asian economy. No, the task is to turn people's eyes back to the vision of a human dignity that is indestructible. This is the vision that will both allow us to retain a hold on our sense of worth, even when circumstances are painful or humiliating, and sustain the sense of obligation to the needs of others, near at hand or strangers, so that dignity may be made manifest. In conclusion, I want to suggest three central aspects of a religious and more specifically Christian contribution to the ongoing debate, which may, I hope, focus some more detailed reflection. First, our faith depends on the action of a God who is to be trusted. God keeps promises. There could hardly be a more central theme in Jewish and Christian scripture, and the notion is present in slightly different form in Islam as well. Thus, to live in proper harmony with God, human beings need to be promise keepers in all areas of their lives, not least in financial dealings. Second, as we've noted more than once already, the perspective of faith understands human beings as part of creation. Not wholly in control, though gifted with capacities that allow real and significant powers over the environment, bound to material identity, and unable to escape material need. Living in faith is living in awareness of this created and limited identity, without resentment or fantasy. Third, living as part of creation brings with it a sense of the common destiny and common predicament of humanity. More specifically, the scriptural understanding of our calling, especially as set out in the letters of St. Paul, sees the ideal human community as one in which the welfare and giftedness of each and the welfare of all are inseparable. What is good in God's eyes for human beings is not something that is altered by differences in culture or income. We can't say that what is unwelcome or evil for us is tolerable for others. So, trustworthiness, realism or humility, and the clear sense that we must resist policies or practices which accept the welfare of some at the expense of others. There is a back-of-an-envelope idea of where we might start in pressing for a global economic order that has some claim to be just. It can't be too often stressed that we're not talking about simply limiting damage to vulnerable societies far away. The central issues exposed by the financial crisis are everyone's business, and the risks of what some commentators, like Timothy Garton Ash and Jonathan Porritt, have called a barbarizing of Western societies as a result of panic and social insecurity, are real enough. Equally, it can't be too often stressed that it is only the generosity of an ethical approach to these matters that can begin to relate material wealth to human well-being, the happiness that is spiritual and relational, and based on the recognition of non-negotiable human worth. There's much to fear at the moment, but as always, more to hope for. So long as we can turn our backs on the worlds of unreality so seductively opened up by some of our recent financial history. Patience, trust, and the acceptance of a world of real limitation are all hard work. Yet the only liberation that is truly worthwhile is the liberation to be where we are and who we are as human beings, to be anchored in the reality that is properly ours. Other less serious and less risky enterprises may appear to promise a power that exceeds our limitations. But it is at the expense of truth, and so ultimately at the expense of human life itself. Perhaps the very heart of the current challenge is the invitation to discover a little more deeply what is involved in human freedom, not the illusory freedom of some fantasy of control.